So today's video, I'm going to teach an individual how to spot the trading patterns that we are trading today. And today is the 11th of June 2018. We've just seen a 1K drop from BDC. We saw a drop from 7.2 up until 6.6 before upticking up to 6.727. So now what I'm going to show him is what are the patterns that we're looking for, as well as how we can see the future, like what does the future hold for us? Where do we see it happening? So to begin with, I taught him, I looked at the one-day charts and I told him that actually on the one-day charts. Here is the RSI. RSI we've explained to in other videos that you can see it started dumping up at this level. It's been rejected by our VWAP. It's been rejected by the volume-weighted average indicator, and that was being used as a resistance. Immediately from that, it just fell 1,000 points, which was 10%. Now, based upon that, we saw the RSI corresponding to that with the correspondence just over there with the crossover, as well as long term. We saw that the RSI hasn't actually stopped dumping. If you can see from over here, it has not dumping. We're expecting it to reach this level of dumping, as you can see from the dragging of the green indicator. This could potentially mean that we will see a retest of this position over here, which is 5646. So around this level, we can see an indication of that. And now I will explain to him what kind of indications we're seeing, as well as how to effectively trade on the short term on the 1 hour indication. So Murtaza, what have I told you so far?
So we've looked at resistance and support lines. We've looked at how we can analyze the resistance support index at the bottom of trading view. We've looked at smooth moving averages and what they mean for the future of a particular cryptocurrency. We've looked at how VWAPs connect candlesticks, what liquidity means for the market. Basically, when we have more volume in the market, we have more liquidity.
So effectively, what he's trying to say is, when there's more volume, that's more liquidity, and when there's more liquidity, that's quite scary for all of us. Doesn't matter what kind of trader that you are. More liquidity means that you're more scared. The reason why is there's more liquidity. That means that there's more purchasers or sellers in the market. And effectively what that means is, ideally at what Nuviv and Weaviv Live, what we're trying to teach is an effective and strong risk management strategy. The stronger risk management strategy is the stronger you're able to ensure that the position is high, as well as the fact that you know that later on, if you do get stopped at, that's good. It's good if you get stopped out because you don't want to eventually get over leveraged, or you don't want to lose your position either.
I'm going to Kingston on Thursday, unfortunately. I won't be able to come to the office.
Okay, cool. Are you leaving now?
Huh?
Are you leaving now?
No, I need to get a few numbers from these guys.
Okay,
so
cool. Okay, motherfuckers, listen, guys. I'm video. So, guys,
I'll just send the list.
So far, more volatility means. So more liquidity means more volatility, which means you want to have a Saudi stop loss, which means you want to have a very, very, very tight stop loss. So now I've just explained to him the difference between
and we need that tight stop loss, because when we have more liquidity in the market, we can see big changes in position. And if we don't have a tight stop loss, we can lose our liquidity.
So far, I've explained to him as well as the difference between using a one-day chart, a 4 to 6 hour chart, and a 1 hour chart. So what we advocate when we trade is to look between the one-day chart as a sort of hedging process that you can understand long-term where the BTC value will go. And this obviously stands for anything that includes ETH, BCH, which is Bitcoin Cash, as well as XRP, Ripple, as well as EOS as well.
So Bitcoin Cash trade completely separately from
Bitcoin Cash is, so what most people don't understand is Bitcoin Cash is completely separate, which means that
it's not a denomination.
No. So it was used as a hard fork by Roger Ver, and this was anyone that held Bitcoin also was given a Bitcoin Cash. And a lot of so a lot of my clients they didn't like Bitcoin Cash. I thought, fuck it, they tell me not to swear, but we're all grown people here. I thought, fuck it, let me hold on to Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash actually went up from around roughly $300 as to when you got it to roughly around I think it touched between 3 to 8,000 USD. Yeah. It touched a really, really stupid level, and then again dipped.
That's why I thought they were linked.
Yeah, so unfortunately they're not actually linked. They're two completely ones. What most people don't understand is when they join Reddit or so r/BDC or anything to do with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin.com isn't owned by the advocates behind Bitcoin. They're actually owned by the advocates behind Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah.
And when an individual, guys, you need to understand this and think about it and actually process it in your minds, because if you don't, you will lose a shit ton of money, right? When you transfer money from a wallet address, when you transfer money from Bitcoin to Bitcoin, you must ensure that it is Bitcoin to Bitcoin and that it is not BTC or Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash. They are two completely different things. If you send it to a different wallet, you will lose your money and no one will be there to help you or hold your hand. That is the end of it. The minute that you send your money to a wallet and to a Bitcoin Cash wallet is the minute that ends. Okay, so now we're going to explain to you the difference between a 1 hour, 4 hour, and a 1 day chart. So I've already explained, we like to deal mainly in the order. So 1 day you kind of need to understand the way that the market's going to go. But what really, in reality, what you really need to understand is, in fact, I like to trade on the 15 minutes to 1 minute. Why? Because I prefer doing that. It suits my personality. The more and more you trade, the more and more you'll understand internally how to trade, right? So some people, they're slower, they're more patient. The more and more patient that you are, the more and more that you're thinking, okay, let me trade on the 1 hour. 1 hour, it's dumping, as you can see right now as we can speak. As I explained to you on the 1 day chart, ultimately, we know it's going to dump over the 1 day chart. It might bounce back up. We're seeing a short bounce back up over here. Look, it's going to go back up to that level. But if it gets rejected, and I wish you guys can see this, it's on my other monitor, but roughly the resistance line is at, what's that, 6706. So my resistance line is at 6706, and that I believe was on the, what did that say? Acting as a good support. So I said previously that it was acting as a good support, and as explained to you in our previous videos, support turns to resistance. So what that means is, ultimately support turns to resistance, resistance turns to support. And that's one thing that you guys need to keep and ensure that you get into your head. Another thing that I was just explaining to Mutsa before we started the video and realized it's actually a really good learning experience for all of our individuals involved and all of our subscribers. And we do plan to start a weekly webinar in which we are going to be trading, even though the market may be boiling as shit. We guys can ask questions and we can ensure that long term it's happening. Hold on 1 second. So long term. So now I need to explain to you one thing, guys. So we're just about to see it's being rejected on the VWAP. That's already explained to you, and this is on the 1 hour chart. But what you guys also must understand is that it's just about to cross over between the VWAP and the it's about to cross over between the VWAP and the 9-day SMA. So what the 9-day SMA is it means one thing and one thing only. A 9-day SMA measures the past and previous 9 days. What that means is it takes above the previous averages of the 9 days, collates into one chart, and then graphs it along your BDC values. So that you can see by the length, which is 9 days. So it's going to cross over. Roughly, we anticipate that the crossover will happen by the Asian Open, which is roughly 10, 11 o'clock. And that means that tonight at 10, 11 o'clock, we will see a larger dip. To what level will that dip be? I'm unsure, but based upon the dip that happened yesterday, we will definitely see a retest of the 6643 position. And worst scenario is I'm not putting a take profit. I'm actually in it for the whole long run. I'm expecting 6601 to hit at least as a sort of resistance support level as well, and a take profit.
So, Mick, if the VWAP and the SMA were crossing upwards with the SMA indicating a more bullish market, you would anticipate the price to go up.
So what? Okay, so effectively.
So when they cross here, do you anticipate that the price will go down?
No, so because they're underneath, so you need to understand one thing, right? So previously, had it crossed when it was just above the VWAP, which is roughly here, that would have meant, okay, it's bullish. Actually, all the dumps don't mean really anything in reality. But because it's under both, you see the VWAP, the strong yellow line, as well as because it's underneath the 9-day SMA, the 20-day SMA, and the 55-day SMA, what that effectively means is across below it, we will see a harder drop. And as you can see right now, we're currently at 84. We're currently at 83 as well. We will see a retest of that position. Again, like I said, 6640, it might be during this webinar as well. It's just what will happen now.
So what you're saying is when the VWAP is below the SMAs and the cross, we can anticipate a hard drop.
Yeah, exactly.
In the price of the currency.
So right now we're seeing a 70 position, which means we're going to be in this position for a long time. I'm just happy that I was shorting it earlier. So now we're going to explain to you also, it's 6670 still. It's going to be in that position, which means that the 7, let's go back to the 15-minute chart. So I again explained to you what I was telling Murtaza when he was looking at my upper monitor. 6706 I looked at the other day, and I saw that it was a strong resistance / support. So based upon that, again, you can see over here that it was actually rejected. You can see Murtaza, it was rejected, right?
Yeah.
It was rejected as a support, and then it's now being used as a resistance.
Yeah.
As to what level it will fall,
Exactly. Yeah.
one thing that we can actually do is we can use a trend line to kind of anticipate. Look, let's see the last moving. Let's see the last. You see that last wick? We'll drag it along here. We'll see the last wick over here. That's just touching it, and we'll just drag it along here. So we can make some sort of chart pattern to decipher.
So what does this represent at the bottom?
So it just means that this is kind of an average that we're deciphering ourselves.
Okay.
So what I've decided to do is I decided to drag. You can see that the wick is over here.
Yeah.
So the last wick is that, okay, maybe I placed it a bit wrong. It's actually here, unfortunately. So I placed it a bit wrong. Let me redraw it now. So you drag. What you do is you drag a trend line. Am I wrong or not? I don't know if is that a volume or is that no? So that okay. So this for me is the trend line where it keeps getting rejected. So you can use it to kind of anticipate, is it going to move up or is this going to be the actual line that's going to be rejected, right? So you do it at every point of rejection. So we've done it here, we've done it here on the, no, we've done it here on the 15 minutes. It's actually better because we're going to be watching the next 15 minutes.
So if you could just go back.
It's better to watch, it's better to watch the 1 minute chart instead, the 1 hour chart. So what I'll do is I'll drag a trend line between here and here as some sort of indication, and then I will drag a trend line from here to here. So what you can see is it gives us some sort of pennant. What that means is we will see by roughly 7 o'clock what will happen. You can see by those two wicks.
So what does this intersection represent?
So this intersection represents that some sort of massive event will be happening soon. Based upon that, because what I'll drop in one of the learning videos.
So on the we have this major event, we will also have these RSIs crossing at this.
No, so you might not necessarily see the RSIs crossover.
Okay.
So RSIs are different. RSIs are what's known as a lagging indicator.
Yeah.
Which means that
it might happen.
Yeah, it will happen. If you're in the 1 hour, it'll happen an hour later. If you're happening in the 1 minute, it'll only happen 1 minute later. But remember, guys, when you're looking at a long-term view, do not ever use 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minutes. Why? Because 1 minute, 3 minutes, and 15 minutes, they only pick up on smaller tremors.
And how do we? Okay, so we know that the VWAP is below the SMAs, and so we know that it's going to drop at this major event, right?
Yeah. So at this green box, you never know.
But our analysis.
So based upon our 1 day analysis and based upon our 15 minute and our 1 hour, our higher time frames, so our HTFs, based on our HTFs, it is more than plausible that we will see a retest of this position.
So so if I were in your position right now, I would be shorting BTC right now.
Yeah, so I have been shorting BTC since 6.735. I put a stop loss, so I'm trading at a 25x leverage. I put a stop loss at 6.738, simply on the basis that if it goes beyond 6.738, it means that any indication that I've gotten it in the wrong level. If it goes above my stop loss, it means a bunch of different things. It means I went into the wrong level. It also means that any kind of indication that I may have done on the 15 minute or the 1 day or the 2 hour chart, it's redundant. Because what you're looking for as a trader, because you're putting money on the line, you're looking for confirmation. But you don't want to be too sure, too certain. You're looking for too much confirmation bias. Because at the end of the day, if you're looking for too much confirmation bias, you're also going to be missing out on a huge, massive move as well. So for example, Sunday, we saw a 1,000 point / 10% move. And if you kept waiting for, okay, shit, maybe let's wait for this. No. It's better that you put 3 pip move upwards. So I entered at 6.735, and then I put my pip 3 points up. Okay, you know what? If it gets rejected at that level, stop loss gets hit, it's okay. Why? I just lost 3 pips and potentially fees. That's it.
So another question I have is that so we anticipate that we're going to have some big movements where these support and resistance lines cross.
Yeah, so these trend lines.
These trend lines cross, and then when we'd be setting a stop loss, would we set a take profit at this particular
yeah. So what we can do? Let me just
resistance line. Sorry.
What we can do is we can check if. So you must understand one thing, right?
Yeah.
In life, Gordon Gekko says one thing: greed is good. In life, you must be greedy, but you shouldn't be too greedy. And so now we're going back onto the 1-day chart.
Yeah.
You have to keep looking at it into different increments. So now the 1-day chart is telling us a different picture. Previously, now it's telling us that it's closer to the bottom than we thought, which means that potentially we might actually see 6.6 as the bottom.
Yeah.
Previously on the 6th of April, that was the bottom as well.
Right.
We might see a retest of that position. So effectively, we'll put a take profit around 20 pips higher than that. We shouldn't be too greedy. But what we can also do is we can.
So you'd have a Saudi stop loss, but not a Saudi take profit.
Yeah, we'd have a Saudi stop loss, but not a Saudi take profit.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be a little bit more intelligent, what you can do is you can actually. You can think, okay, you know what? Let me execute half of my position. Let me take away half of my money. So you had 10,000 contracts, or how many other contracts you have, and you thought, okay, you know what? Let me get 50% of my contracts, and so that now that you've got 50% of it, you're taking away 50% of your contract. You do a thing called you let your winners run. So your winners are running. So that maybe potentially the market drops below 6.6. It drops below 6.6, maybe retests 5.8, right? It may potentially retest this position. Let's put another support/resistance here.
And also the stop loss and take profit aren't set in stone. We can change them to your course of the trade, right?
Yeah, of course. So one thing that you can do is a stop limit, which means that now let's say that you entered, so I'm going to be using this. Because we're shorting, I'm going to be, let's say I shorted at the level that I told you at 6.735, right? My Saudi stop loss would have meant that I would put my stop loss at 6.73338. Perfect. So which means that I would have had a pip of 4, and it would have been at 0.06%. So I would be risking hardly anything based upon that. And what I'll be doing is my ultimate aim is to short until. My ultimate aim is to short until 6.595. So roughly around that level, right? So I'll be making around 1.76%. But you also have to understand one thing. I will be letting my winners run as well.
Yeah.
So based upon me letting my winners run, I'll be shorting all the way up until 6.4, potentially 5.8. I'll be letting my winners run from that level. So this massive green box that you see on the screen right now, you'll be letting your winners run. But what you can do at any one moment in time, so for example, let's say all of a sudden the market is like, okay, we're currently at 6.28. So currently the market's at 6.28. What you could do is you could put a stop limit. And this stop limit will be let's say a trend line. So this stop limit will be roughly over here. Which means your market's trading at 6.3, you put a stop limit at 6.419. Which means you've got around a 120 point move before your stop limit hits. What that means is your stop limit is in profit. So you've let your winners run by around another additional 200 points, but you're willing to risk another 100 extra points on the fact that it could potentially go down. If it doesn't go down, you cash out. You're still happy. You're still happy with profits.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what you want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be doing. And that's what the new Vive team and the WeVive Live team have been practicing over the past 2-3 days. And that's what we're going to continue to do so far as well. I mean, so far we're seeing some more volatility. This is the 1 minute on the screen or no? Yeah, so this is the 1 minute.
Yeah, the 1
so on the other trading screen that we're currently looking at, I'm looking at a 1 minute chart. So what you can see right now is you can see that all of these, if it continue, it just passed the 9-day SMA. Remember guys, we're looking at 1 minute tremors, which means that you're going to see some sort of up and downs, right? Because of these tremors. So we're going to see it sort of crossover between these two levels. If BTC decides to dump, which it will based on RSI, as I already explained to you here, and in other videos posted on the Learn page of the WeaveLive.com. And again, guys, I told you 6.6, 6.7, 6.606, and 6.709 is an explanation of where we get rejected. And remember, this, you can see some live data evidence. So this 20-day SMA rejected BTC from moving upwards. It may have not gotten rejected here just because it was too much of a volume push, but it got rejected here. So based upon that, guys, I anticipate that we will see a move down towards at least that level, which is 6.6.
Amazing.
Perfect, guys, and I hope you learned well. And we shall see you over the course of the week, and we will be updating you as well in our tutorials and our articles, as well as our Telegram groups and WhatsApp group chats to explain what the entry level is, what the buy level is, and what you should be purchasing since Bitcoin is down. Because Bitcoin is down, it means it's cheaper to buy more Bitcoin, as well as you can get more value for your Bitcoin as well, because all of the other coins are down too. So thank you so much, guys. Have an excellent day / night.